other sharks. Additionally, you'll notice that they tend to swim with their mouths closed, and they have a little bit rounder of a nose than the other species that you see here. Now we do have two of those here in the tank. They are both girls, and you'll see those girls swimming around rather quickly. Now the second species that we have here in our aquarium is a sand tiger shark. Now we can identify the sand tiger sharks because you'll see that they're a little bit slower moving. They tend to just kind of cruise around. They also have two fins on their back that are right about the same height. They like to have all their nice big beautiful teeth hanging out the front, and they've got a pointed nose. You can also tell them apart because they do have spots along their sides and their back. And then the third type of shark that we have here in our aquarium is the nurse shark. Now this shark you normally will see resting on the bottom of the exhibit. However, during our feedings, you will see them swimming up in the water column and going up to the surface to actually feed. These guys here can be identified because they have a very blunt nose, and they have what looks like two fangs hanging underneath on the front. Those are actually not fangs. They're very soft tissue, and they're what we would call barbells. They're sensitive organs that they can actually use to look for food down in the substrate below. Now in this tank, you're also going to see a stingray that we'll be feeding today. She is a southern stingray, and this is one of the larger species of stingray that you can see here in New Jersey. You see, she just came up down this first window here.
That's okay.
Now that's actually not the biggest that southern stingrays can get. They can get even a little bit bigger than that. What she's doing is she's going up to the top of the water where one of the feeders is going to give her a fish. Sometimes you'll see her slide down the window with that fish in her mouth, and other times she'll just hold it right down up at the top.
Here, come sit, come sit.
Now we use several techniques to feed the animals in this tank. The fish in this tank actually do not eat on the same day as the sharks. They're going to eat at a different time, and what they'll do when they feed the fish is they're going to do what we call scatter feeding. So we're going to take that fish food and just kind of toss it into the tank. The fish are going to go ahead and clean up all that food, and most of the times they do it before the sharks in the tank really have an opportunity to come up and try to steal something. Now when we feed our sharks, however, we do need to feed them one at a time, because we do not want to promote these guys having to compete for food. And we want to make sure that all sharks, including those that move a little bit slower, are getting the appropriate amount of nutrition. We actually feed them using a pole. So anybody up on the top floor, you can actually see these guys using these poles. They're very long PVC poles, and at the end of that pole are two little metal prongs. Now our feeders are going to take a fish, stick it on the end of those prongs, and dip that pole directly down in front of the mouth of the shark that they're going to feed. For those of us on the bottom floor, you may actually see some of those pole ends coming down if you look towards the front end of the shark when they're getting ready to take a bite. Now there's another reason that we do this. The seafood that we can feed these guys, as well as all the other animals here, is that same restaurant quality seafood. And again, just as we do with our other animals, it is bought frozen in bulk, and then it is thawed out. So in order to make sure that these guys aren't missing any of the nutrition that may be lost during the freezing and thawing process, we do supplement their diet with vitamins. Now our sharks here do not eat every day. This may sound kind of unusual, except that out in the wild, sharks will only eat on average once per week. So here in the aquarium, we feed them 3 times a week. This is one of the ways that we can deter them from actually taking a bite of some of the fish that you see swimming here in our aquarium. The second reason that they don't go after that fish is sharks are what we like to call opportunistic feeders. In fancy terms, it just means they're very lazy. They're only going to go after fish that are sick, injured, or already dead. Trying to catch one of the fish in this tank would be a very difficult task. These fish are very fast. And if that shark makes that attempt and fails, then they've burned all that energy without any reward at the end.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Look at that.
Now, sharks are fish, however, they're different than their bony fish counterparts, in that their skeleton is not made of bone, but instead made of cartilage.